The Mercy mission. The United Earth ship Nightingale drifted through the cosmic void like a beacon of hope against the darkness of space. Its pristine white hull adorned with the universal Red Cross symbols and blue medical crescent of 17 different species reflected the light of distant stars. At 3 kilometers long and housing over 4,000 medical personnel, the Nightingale represented humanity's greatest achievement in interstellar humanitarian aid. Captain Maria Rodriguez stood on the observation deck, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the stars streak by. 20 years in the medical corps had taught her that space was full of suffering, but also that humans possessed a unique gift for healing. The latest reports from the Kepler 442 system had been particularly troubling. The Vorak Empire had been expanding aggressively into neutral space, and thousands of refugees from multiple species were caught in the crossfire. The bridge doors hissed open behind her, and Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Park approached with a data pad in hand. His usually cheerful demeanor was replaced by concern that creased his forehead. Maria turned to face him, already knowing the conversation would be serious. "Captain, we're receiving multiple distress signals from the outer edge of the system," David reported, his voice steady, despite the gravity of the situation. "The refugee convoy from Proxima 7 is reporting critical casualties. They have over 2,000 civilians aboard, including children from at least 6 different species." Maria nodded slowly, her mind already calculating medical supplies and triage protocols. The Nightingale carried enough medical equipment to treat a small planet's worth of patients, but even their resources had limits. Every decision she made could mean the difference between life and death for hundreds of beings. "How far out are we?" she asked, moving toward the main bridge. 3 hours at maximum burn," David replied, following close behind. "But Captain, there's something else. Long-range sensors are picking up Vorthak military signatures in the area. At least 12 warships, possibly more." The bridge crew looked up as Maria entered, their faces reflecting a mixture of determination and apprehension. The Vorak Empire was known for its aggressive expansion and disregard for civilian casualties. They claimed any system they could hold by force, and their military doctrine emphasized total dominance over mercy. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, the navigation officer, pulled up a holographic display of the system. Red dots marked Vorthak positions, while yellow indicators showed the refugee ships clustered near a small moon. The Nightingale's projected path would take them directly through the contested zone. "The Vorhak won't fire on a hospital ship," Maria said with more confidence than she felt. "We're broadcasting medical transponder codes on all frequencies. The Galactic Medical Accord protects us." The communications officer, Ensign Thomas Wright, turned in his chair. "Captain, the Vorhak commander is hailing us." Maria straightened her uniform and nodded. "Put him through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the reptilian features of Commander Skarath of the Vorak Empire. His scales were a deep purple, indicating his high rank, and his yellow eyes held nothing but contempt as he looked at the human captain. "Human vessel," Skarath hissed, his forked tongue flicking between sharp teeth. "This system is now under Vorak control. Turn back immediately or face the consequences." Maria stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "Commander Skarath, this is Captain Rodriguez of the medical ship Nightingale. We are on a humanitarian mission to assist refugees in this system. Under the Galactic Medical Accord, which your empire signed, we have the right to provide medical aid to any who need it." Skarath's eyes narrowed to slits. The Vorak Empire recognizes no accord when it comes to enemies of the state. Those refugees are harboring dissident and rebels. Any who aid them will be considered hostile. "There are children on those ships," Maria said, her voice hardening. "Injured civilians who have done nothing but flee from war. We're doctors, not soldiers. We pose no threat to your military operations." The Vorak commander leaned forward, his face filling the screen. "You have 1 hour to leave the system. After that, I will consider your presence an act of war." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Maria looked around at her crew, seeing the same resolve in their eyes that she felt in her heart. They hadn't come all this way to abandon people in need. "Maintain course," she ordered. "Increase speed to maximum. If we can reach the refugees before the deadline, we can establish a medical quarantine zone. Even the Vorhak won't violate that." The Nightingale surged forward, its massive engines pushing the hospital ship faster than it was designed to go. In the medical bays, doctors and nurses prepared for incoming casualties, checking equipment, and organizing triage stations. They had trained for situations like this, but the threat of military action added a new dimension of urgency. As they approached the refugee convoy, Maria could see the desperate state of the fleeing ships through the viewports. Some were held together with emergency patches in prayer. Others vented atmosphere from hull breaches that hadn't been properly sealed. These people had been running for weeks, maybe months, and they were at the end of their endurance. 40 minutes until the Vorak deadline, Sarah announced. We'll reach the convoy in 15. Maria activated the ship-wide intercom. All medical teams, prepare for immediate deployment. We have a narrow window to establish medical operations and claim quarantine protection. Every second counts. The Night Andale shuttle bays opened like welcoming arms, and dozens of medical shuttles launched toward the refugee ships. Each shuttle bore the prominent medical markings that should have guaranteed their safety. Medical teams in their distinctive white and blue uniforms began boarding the refugee vessels immediately, starting triage and treatment. Dr. Park's voice crackled over the communication system. Captain, the situation here is worse than we thought. Malnutrition, radiation exposure, untreated injuries from attacks weeks old. We need to start bringing the critical cases back to the Night Andale immediately. Proceed with evacuation of critical patients, Maria authorized. How many are we talking about? At least 300 need immediate surgery or intensive care, David replied. Maybe more, Captain. There are so many children. Maria felt her jaw clench. Children were always the worst casualties of war. They didn't choose sides or understand politics. They were just caught in the middle of adult conflicts that destroyed their worlds. The medical evacuation proceeded with practiced efficiency. Shuttles fied patients from the refugee ships to the Night Andale state-of-the-art medical facilities. Surgical teams worked around the clock. The pediatric ward filled with young beings of multiple species, all receiving the same compassionate care regardless of their origin. Captain, Thomas said urgently, the Vorak deadline has passed. Their ships are moving into attack position. Maria looked at the tactical display. The Vorak warships had formed an attack formation, their weapon systems powering up. But surely they wouldn't. They're targeting us, Sarah said, disbelief in her voice. Captain, they're actually targeting a hospital ship. Maria grabbed the communication console. Commander Scareth, this is Captain Rodriguez. We have established a medical quarantine zone under Article 7 of the Galactic Medical Accord. Any attack on medical personnel or facilities is a war crime under interstellar law. Scareth appeared on the screen again, his expression triumphant. The Vorak Empire makes its own laws human. You were warned. We have patients aboard, Maria said desperately. Civilians, children from multiple species. This is a hospital ship. Then you should have left when you had the chance. Scareth replied coldly. Fire. The first plasma bolt struck the Night Andale's hull, and Maria watched in horror as the shield systems, designed only for asteroid impacts and navigation hazards, flickered and failed. The hospital ship had never been built for combat. Its defenses were minimal, just enough to protect against space debris. Evasive maneuvers, Maria shouted, but she knew it was useless. The Nightingale was a hospital, not a warship. It moved with all the grace of a wounded whale. More weapons fire struck the ship. The lights flickered as power systems struggled to compensate. In the medical bays, doctors threw themselves over patients to protect them from falling debris. The pediatric ward's reinforced windows cracked under the assault. Hull breach in Section 7, someone shouted. We're losing atmosphere. Maria activated the emergency beacon with trembling fingers. The signal would take days to reach Earth, but it would carry with it the full record of what was happening here. Video feeds from throughout the ship showed medical personnel refusing to abandon their patients, even as the ship came apart around them. They're targeting the medical shuttles, Sarah reported in horror. The ones marked with red crosses. They're hunting them down. Through the viewport, Maria watched as Vorak fighters destroyed clearly marked medical shuttles. Escape pods bearing medical symbols were targeted and destroyed. It wasn't just an attack. It was a massacre. Dr. Park's last transmission came through static and interference. Captain, the pediatric ward has been hit. We have so many casualties. The children. Then the transmission cut off, as another barrage struck the night Andale. Maria felt the ship shudder and knew they were dying. But the emergency beacon was away. Earth would know what happened here. Humanity would know that the Vorak Empire had committed the ultimate war crime, the deliberate targeting of medical personnel and the patients under their care. As the night and gale broke apart, Maria's last thought was a prayer that humanity would remember not just how they died, but why they had come here in the first place. They had come to heal. They had come to save lives. They had come because it was the right thing to do. The emergency beacon raced through space, carrying its terrible message toward Earth, Earth's reckoning. The emergency beacon from the night Andale reached Earth's deep space communication array at 0300 hours GMT. Within minutes, the message had been decoded, verified, and transmitted directly to United Earth Command. By 0315, President Chen was being awakened by her military advisors. By 0330, an emergency session of the United Earth Council had been convened. President Lisa Chen stood before the assembled council members, her face grave, as the final video transmissions from the night and gale played on the massive screens around the chamber. Gasps of horror and outrage filled the room as they watched clearly marked medical shuttles being hunted down and destroyed. The image of Dr. Park shielding children with his own body as the pediatric ward exploded would be burned into their collective memory forever. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Chen said, her voice cutting through the shocked murmurs. 3 days ago, the Vorak Empire committed an act so heinous that it cannot go unanswered. They didn't just attack a ship, they attacked the very principle of medical neutrality that has kept some semblance of civilization in the galaxy. Admiral James Chen, no relation to the president despite sharing a surname, stood at the military podium. The old veteran had seen many conflicts in his 60 years, but the fury in his eyes was something his staff had never witnessed before. "The Vorak believe humans are weak," Admiral Chen said, his voice steady but filled with controlled rage. "They see our hospital ships, our humanitarian missions, our attempts at diplomacy, and they mistake compassion for weakness. It's time we corrected that misconception." The Brazilian representative raised her hand. "Admiral, what exactly are you proposing?" "The Vorak Empire has over 3,000 warships. Their military is one of the largest in the galaxy." Admiral Chen smiled grimly and activated a holographic display. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels. For the past 50 years, humanity has been building something in the outer solar system, hidden in the Oort cloud." The display showed massive construction yards floating in the darkness between stars. Ships of impossible size were being assembled by automated systems. The council members leaned forward in shock as they realized the scale of what they were seeing. "Project Deterrence," Admiral Chen explained. "Every hospital ship we sent out, every humanitarian mission, every peaceful trade delegation, they all carried hidden sensors. We've been mapping the galaxy, studying alien technology, and preparing for the day when someone mistook our kindness for weakness." The hologram shifted to show ship specifications. Vessels that dwarfed anything the galaxy had seen, weapon systems that bent the laws of physics, defensive shields that could withstand direct hits from planet-killer weapons. "How many?" President Chen asked quietly. 5,000 capital ships," Admiral Chen replied. 20,000 support vessels, and something special we've been working on." He changed the display again. "The Memorial Fleet, 12 ships, each one named after a human medical vessel that was destroyed while on humanitarian missions. The night Andale will be avenged by its namesake." The Indian representative stood up. "This is revenge. Then we're abandoning our principles." "No," President Chen said firmly. "This is justice. And more importantly, this is protection. If we don't respond to this atrocity, every hospital ship, every medical mission, every humanitarian effort in the galaxy becomes a target. We're not just defending ourselves. We're defending the very concept of medical neutrality." Within hours of the Council's unanimous vote, Earth's hidden fleet began to move. Jump gates that had been disguised as cosmic phenomena activated, creating corridors through space that would allow the human fleet to reach Kepler 442. In days rather than months, the Vorak Empire had no idea what was coming. Commander Scareth was celebrating his victory in the conquered system when the first reports came in. Sensor stations on the edge of Vorak space were going dark. Not destroyed, just vanishing. Then the impossible happened. 5,000 human warships appeared simultaneously at strategic points throughout the Empire. The human fleet didn't attack immediately. Instead, every communication system in Vorthak space was overridden, and Admiral Chen's image appeared on every screen, every display, every personal communicator in the Empire. "I am Admiral James Chen of the United Earth Navy," he said calmly. 3 days ago, your forces destroyed the hospital ship Nightingale, which was engaged in humanitarian operations. You killed 4,000 medical personnel and over 300 patients, including 117 children. The Admiral paused, letting the numbers sink in. Humanity offers 2 paths forward: surrender unconditionally, submit to war crimes tribunals, and accept the new Galactic Medical Protection Treaty that will be enforced by Earth, or face the consequences of your actions. Scareth, watching from his command ship, snarled at the screen. Empty threats from a weak species. Attack them. The Vorak fleet moved to engage, confident in their numerical superiority and combat experience. They had conquered dozens of species. What could these soft humans do? They found out seconds later. The human ships didn't fight like anything the Vorak had encountered. They moved in perfect coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. Their weapons carved through Vorak shields like they weren't there. But most unsettling was their precision. They disabled weapons and engines without destroying life support. They were demonstrating that they could destroy the entire Vorak fleet, but were choosing not to. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it ended, 3,000 Vorthak warships floated helplessly in space, completely disabled, but with crews unharmed. Admiral Chen appeared on their screens again. Every ship you see was designed by humans who believe in peace, built by humans who believe in diplomacy, crewed by humans who would rather be explorers and scientists than warriors. But we learned long ago that sometimes to protect peace, you must be capable of war. The memorial fleet moved forward. 12 massive ships, bearing the names of destroyed hospital vessels. The lead ship, the UES Nightingale Ascendant, was a masterpiece of human engineering. It combined the most advanced medical facilities with defensive systems that could protect entire star systems. From this day forward, Admiral Chen announced, not just to the Vorthak, but to the entire galaxy, which was watching in astonishment. Any attack on a medical vessel, any targeting of humanitarian missions, any violation of medical neutrality will be met with immediate response from Earth. We will not seek revenge, but we will ensure justice. Commander Scareth was transported aboard the Nightingale Ascendant to sign the surrender. He found himself in a medical bay, where human doctors were treating wounded Vorthak soldiers with the same care they would give their own people. The contrast between human mercy and human might was overwhelming. "I don't understand," Scareth said to Admiral Chen. "You have the power to destroy us all. Why show mercy?" Admiral Chen led him to a memorial wall where the names of the original Nightingale's crew were inscribed. Because they wouldn't want revenge. They'd want their deaths to mean something. They'd want the galaxy to be safer for the next medical ship, the next humanitarian mission. The Galactic Medical Protection Treaty was signed that day with Earth as its primary enforcer. The Vorak Empire was reduced to a fraction of its former size. Its leadership tried for war crimes. But more importantly, a new precedent was set in the galaxy. The humans, it turned out, were not weak. They were restrained. Their strength came not from their weapons, but from their principles. They had chosen to be healers and helpers. But when pushed, when the innocent were threatened, when the sanctity of medical neutrality was violated, they revealed the iron beneath the velvet glove. Throughout the galaxy, species that had dismissed humans as soft and naive reconsidered. Hospital ships bearing the Red Cross suddenly carried more weight than warships. The symbol of human medical aid became a symbol of both compassion and protection. In the months that followed, applications to human medical schools from non-human species increased tenfold. The galaxy had learned that humans were at their most dangerous, not when they were threatened, but when those under their protection were harmed. The new Nightingale rebuilt and improved, returned to its humanitarian missions. But now it traveled with an escort of Memorial Fleet vessels, not because it needed protection, but as a reminder that humanity's greatest strength was its compassion. But that compassion was backed by the will and ability to defend it. Captain Maria Rodriguez was posthumously awarded the Galactic Peace Medal. Her final message, recovered from the beacon, became required reading at every medical academy in human space. We came to heal. We stayed to help. We died believing that compassion is worth defending. Her words became the motto of the Memorial Fleet, inscribed on every ship that bore the name of a fallen medical vessel. The galaxy had learned a fundamental truth about humanity. Their mercy was not weakness, and their kindness was not an invitation for cruelty. The Vorak Empire's attack on the Night Andale had awakened something in humanity that the galaxy had not expected. Not vengeance, not cruelty, but determination. The determination that never again would those who came to heal be harmed for their compassion. Earth's response had been swift, decisive, and just. But more than that, it had been human. They had shown strength without cruelty, justice without vengeance, and protection without oppression. The galaxy would remember the lesson of the Night Andale for generations to come. In the end, the Vorak had been right about one thing. Attacking a human hospital ship had been easy. Living with the consequences proved to be much, much harder.